Hello everyone and welcome to round one of Dev-astation. I'm Kieran and I'm here with game developer Carol. And,
Hello everybody.
Carol, do you just want to describe sort of the structure or format of this tournament?
Yeah, so we have the 4 devs. We've done a draft. If you haven't seen the draft, you can check it out on our YouTube channel. But basically, we all drafted 3 heroes each. One per each one of the classic constructed heroes. There's 12 total. So yeah, today we can see we have Jacob versus Jason. Jacob is playing Dash into Jason's Viserai. And basically, the way the tournament works is each round, someone gets the loser gets their hero eliminated, and then the next player plays the winner of the previous game, so on and so forth until basically there's one hero standing or one player left with either one or multiple heroes.
And I feel like we're in for a bit of a treat. You know, Jacob Pearson, obviously one of the top players in the world, and Jason Chung, extremely experienced game dev. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited for this one.
Yeah, so interesting thing to note is, you know, Dash is one of those heroes that has been dominating the classic constructed meta game before Monarch has been released. Ever since the release of Monarch, Rune Blood has picked up a few cheeky pieces here and there, which hopefully we'll see some kind of spice from Jason. I know that he is obsessed with Viserai. He loves the hero. Same thing about Jacob, actually. They were, I remember that after the draft, they were saying that they were both kind of fighting for that particular hero. But yeah, Dash is known to play that kind of either a very aggressive game of boosting and getting those go-agains through boost, or setting up with induction chambers and plasma purifiers and playing a very defensive game. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how Jacob built his deck, and I'm also interested to see how Jason has built his.
Now, you say you're interested to see the deck list, so from that, can I assume that the devs don't know each other's deck lists when they go into this?
We do have access to the deck lists. So basically the way we did it was everyone got their 3 heroes, everyone committed to their deck lists, and then we have access to the deck list before the matches.
Right, but yeah, I suppose you might have had sort of a brief look through, but not sort of thoroughly look through everyone's deck list.
Yeah, so I mean, me in particular, I'm just really want to see how these two play out.
Right, yeah, because the reason I was asking, I suppose, is Viserai one of those heroes that, you know, you can play in a few different ways.
Yeah.
So you've got sort of, you know, potentially those mid-rangey or aggressive Viserai builds, and then, potentially those OTK style builds. So just wondering if that played into potentially how Jacob was thinking of, you know, changing up his deck, you know, what 59 or what amount of cards he's going to present in his deck, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Something I wanted to mention is that basically every, as I mentioned, every player has those 3 heroes that they play, that they drafted. So one kind of mind games that we've been going through is, what hero do you want to decide to play against a particular player? So I think that I couldn't work out what Jacob was going to pick against Jason, because obviously he first picked Bravo. It's his favorite hero, and it's a hero he really wants to do well with. And it's kind of like, what hero do you pick against the 3 heroes that the other player has available? So it's interesting seeing those 2 picks from both from both players.
And one thing here I see Jason has is the time skippers, which is so utilizing the new equipment from Monarch.
Yeah. So I guess the equipment and the weapons are kind of an indication of what they might be playing. We see some, I think it's a Mordred Tide and a ninth blade in Jason's hand. The time skippers, I think that he utilizes it to do crazy big Mordred Tide turns with read the runes, getting a value there.
Right, and sorry, just to interrupt there, I see straight off the bat, we see Jacob pitch a blue Overblast to put a counter on the Induction Chamber and Teklo Pistol. Then he's coming with a Zipper hit red for 5, and he's boosted, so it's got go again.
Yeah, so obviously if Jacob is happy to be boosting straight away, I think he's got a very mechanologist-centric deck. I feel like we might see a lot of boosts in this matchup.
Okay, so we see Jacob there attacks and wait for it's for his opponent to defend before using the go again. Then it looks like he's pitching another blue card to load up the counters on the Teklo Pistol in the chamber.
Oh, he's going for it. So there's another hit, and he managed to get some damage in on turn 1.
Interesting. Do you think he was looking to potentially strip some cards from Jason's deck there, going with that pretty aggressive turn 1?
Yeah, I think a red Zipper hit is just one of those really tough to defend. Like 5 is a really nice break point, so I think he was just trying to see if he can deal some damage to Jason.
And here we see that Mordred Tide come out that you mentioned earlier. So Mordred Tide, 0 cost non-attack action. If you would create a rune chant, instead create that many +1. So it looks like Jason's pitching to the Grass of the Arknight there, that's creating 2 rune chants due to Mordred Tide. Ooh, and then we see the Become the Arknight.
Yeah.
So Become the Arknight, that lets him discard an attack action to search up a non-attack action. Rune Blade non-attack action. And it looks like he's going to be searching up to read the runes here.
Yeah, so Jason is just trying to build up those rune chants, and yeah, I wonder if we're going to see that interaction between the Skeletor with the Sonata Arcanics. So basically what you can do is you can reduce the cost of Sonata with your rune chants and kind of declare very high value for the X value of Sonata. So we'll see if that's the kind of direction he goes with his build.
Yeah, we see Jacob here has started off with a Throttle with boost. So we can see Jason last turn that Become the Arknight generated 2 rune chants due to Viserai's ability, and then the Read the Runes generated 6. So 2 from Viserai's ability, and then 4 from itself due to the Mordred Tide.
Yeah, so I think what we're going to see this game is Jacob putting on as much pressure as possible. Here we see him activate the Teklo Heart, which means that he's just trying to attack as much as possible here.
Yeah, and interesting because he may be a little bit concerned Jason getting off to that big early start with the rune chants here. So there we see he's used one of those resources to put a counter on the gun. He's got a counter on the induction chamber as well. Looks like he's just coming in for 2.
Yeah, Jason is happy to take that damage. And I think one of the... usually looking at the life total is a good indicator to see who's winning and who's not winning. I think in this game, we're going to be looking at Jason's life, but also the amount of rune chants he has got, because if he keeps on stacking up those rune chants, Jacob's life total is not really going to be changed too much.
Now we see a Zipper hit coming in for 5, but he does banish a High Octane there on the boost, and that feels like a pretty important card in this matchup for getting through quite big turns.
Yeah, that's the kind of double-edged sword of those boosts. You can banish some cards that are quite pivotal for your strategy.
So here we see the Magnetic Shockwave come through, so that's going to force up to 1 equipment from Jason to defend this turn, because the combat chain was broken earlier due to the Teklo Foundry Heart. Now, one thing we see here is... so Jason can actually defend with the Time Skippers, even though it defends for 0, because it won't actually defend any damage, but just to fulfill that condition.
Oh, he's going for it. He's defending up with a lot of stuff. Interesting.
He's choosing to defend with multiple cards there. Perhaps just showcasing for the viewers the fact that you can defend with Time Skippers. And getting good use out of that Arcanite Skullcap there, getting the full 2 defense.
And there we go, another 3 rune chants, 13. Now, I wonder how many he actually wants to build up. This is classic constructed. His opponent has 40 life, so that's a lot of damage that he needs to deal with those rune chants.
And here we see the High Octane. So Jacob's pitched a blue pedal to the metal to play High Octane. Now, this non-attack action draws you a card, and every time you boost this turn, you gain an action point. So in this case, so he boosts, he gets the go again from hitting a Mechanologist card, and also an action point from High Octane. So Jacob is now at 2 action points. And one thing this can be useful for, if you have a lot of spare resources, you're able to use these to attack with the Teklo pistol multiple times just to burn away those action points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I wondered, can Jacob put enough pressure with these attacks? I mean, he's boosting a lot. He's got that high octane turn going, but Jason is just defending up so well.
So we see he came with the blue zipper hit there, potentially just to get those extra action points. And now we see what I was mentioning earlier, just using those extra action points to come with the Teklo pistol.
Mm-hmm. And he just keeps on swinging in with those pistol hits. So he managed to strip Jason's whole hand and get a bit of damage in there as well. So I think Jacob would be pretty happy with that. But there we go. Jason had another read the runes in his arsenal, meaning that he's just ticking up those rune chants, up to 15 now.
Yeah, we can see Jacob is still, he's boosted away one of those Spark of Geniuses, but he hasn't been able to get that second induction chamber into play to maybe put a little bit more pressure on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting to see, whether he really committed to this aggressive strategy. Like, I don't even know if he is running those chambers, but you'd expect it against a very kind of control stall type of a matchup.
Yeah, one thing he might be worried about here, because of course without that additional chamber, he may be forced a little bit into playing a bit more aggressively with these boost cards, because he's thinking, I can't really just give the Viserai player infinite time by just attacking with pistol once with go again and then playing an attack without boost.
Mm-hmm.
So he may be seeing it's just, ooh, there we go, and he boosts away a Tome of Find Owl, so that the high speed impact does not have go again.
Now this is a really, really tricky spot for Jacob because,
he does have the Achilles open, but that is effectively his one source of Arcane Barrier. I mean, he does have that Arcanite Skullcap, but that's only Arcane Barrier 3, and only if you're on lower life.
He's popping the Achilles. See, this is his only way to continue his turn, but it comes at such a huge cost. Losing that Arcane Barrier 1, as you mentioned, against an opponent with all these rune chants, he's going all in on this play.
Yeah, because what this does mean is that now Jason can sort of look across at the board and really be confident of sort of the critical amount of rune chance he needs to close out this game.
Mm-hmm.
So without, assuming that Jacob still had that Arcane Barrier 1 up, it's a little bit harder for Jason, I feel. He has to account for the fact that Jacob could prevent quite a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it's becoming, quite mathematical for him.
Yeah, and we saw that Jason was happy to take all the damage. He threw all the equipment there. He really wanted to keep all these cards, and here we can see he's trying to generate more and more rune chants. That Oath of the Arcanite netting him 2 more, and it is going to pump up his next attack action card by 3.
Ooh.
So there we see the Skeletor, Bloodsheath Skeletor, into a Sonata. Okay, so he's got 17 rune chants. And
1 resource here.
Yeah. So we can see that the 17 plus 1 resource, the X is equal to 9.
Yeah.
Plus 3 from its ability. So he's revealing 12 cards. Wow. And here we can see his combo. Oh, what a split. This is a dream case scenario for Jason. So I think he's got 5 non-attack actions, and I think it's 7 attack actions. So he can pick and choose 5 out of those attack actions there. And we can see 2 Rouse the Ancients.
So Sonata mechanics, so for each non-attack action you reveal, you're able to put 1 attack action into your hand.
Mm-hmm.
It then deals 1 arcane damage for each attack action you put into your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Sonata Arcanix is banished, and then you shuffle your deck just to have yours. But like Carol mentioned here, there's seems like he's got a lot of very good cards on offer here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a really good hit for Jason. And it creates a rune chant for him. But so that's 5 arcane damage and 18 rune chants. That's 23 damage that Jacob just cannot deal with unless he pitches 3 resources per instance, and that can only happen when he's lower life. So that Arcanite Skullcap is the only way for Jacob to deal with any arcane damage here.
It's interesting. So we see things like Rouse the Ancients here, and then so he's got plenty. So we can see a theme in I believe, his sort of attack action that he wants here.
Yeah.
So Rouse the Ancients allows Jason to use, he's revealing cards here with up to 11 or more power.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes in for 7 with Go Again. And I think the theme of these attacks is things like Rouse the Ancients and Exude Confidence. They allow you to really utilize a lot of cards in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So Exude Confidence, of course, allows you to use additional cards you have to pitch away to give it +2 power.
Mm-hmm.
And Rouse the Ancients, of course, you can just reveal these additional cards to pump it up and give it Go Again.
Mm-hmm.
So that Rouse the Ancients, that's coming in for 7 with Go Again.
Mm-hmm. And another interesting thing is that because the Skeletor was popped, the first rouse was reduced by 18. So that first rouse was actually free to cast as well. That's 7 Go Again for free, virtually.
That's a really good point, actually. I totally missed that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Blacktooth Skeletor doesn't actually specify whether the attack or non-attack you play as Runeblade attack or non-attack. It can be anything.
Wow, so we see that Jason here has really got sort of exactly what he wants out of this turn. So he plays 2 Rouse the Ancients into a Dread Triptych,
mm-hmm.
and that Dread Triptych, it's going to creating a rune chant from the fact that Jason has dealt arcane damage this turn.
Mm-hmm.
He's also played a non-attack action, so it's getting a 2nd rune chant, and then Viserai's ability is giving him a 3rd rune chant.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Dread Triptych hits, that's rune chant number 4. So it's all go.
And it does. Jacob takes all that damage.
And just like that, he drops down Jacob to 12 life, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got 4 rune chants in play, so Jacob is very, very much on the clock here. And Jason, on top of that, has managed to arsenal the Exude Confidence, so he's got that set up for a future turn.
Yeah. So it's interesting that, we have seen these builds in the past with Viserai playing very control, stacking those rune chants, playing that one-turn kill strategy, but that was not a one-turn kill. Jason was happy to pop off with the Skeletor and the Sonata to deal a bunch of damage, and now he's happy to basically switch up his gameplay.
Yeah, now he can go back to playing a little bit more slowly if he needs to, or just sort of building up those rune chants.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing is, Jacob doesn't really have the luxury of time here because he has blown up that 1 arcane barrier.
Mm-hmm.
So we see he just comes in twice with the Teklo pistol, with the induction chamber, by
mm-hmm.
pitching a blue card, and now he's passed back to Jason.
Yeah, and Jason's just, he's coming in with a blue Raging Onslaught, so that's coming in for 5, and 4 rune chants are popping off as well. So he's happy to start putting on pressure as a normal kind of mid-range deck. Now what's interesting about Jason's list is that it seems that he's not running any attack reactions. I feel like defense reactions. I think the traditional kind of control Viserai, that one-turn kill Viserai, would play cards like Reduce the Rune Chant, and Sink Below,
mm-hmm.
these defense reactions, whereas they kind of clash with the core Sonata Arcanics ability. So
right,
you don't want to reveal cards that aren't an attack action or a non-attack action to that, because it just reduces your hits on the Sonata.
So he's really just focusing on building as many rune chants as possible to get the maximum effect out of that first Sonata that he plays.
Mm-hmm.
And here we see, so the Raging Onslaught has been defended by the Arcanite Skullcap and a 0 to 60, leaving Jacob with 3 cards in hand. And yeah, it looks like Jason's pretty happy just to chip away a little bit of damage here. So here we see a Goliath Gauntlet. So it's not going to affect that zipper hit, but that one's coming in for 5. I believe that's a red zipper hit here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so Jacob's trying to put some pressure on. What I'm really interested in is how is Jason going to approach this now? Because he's had his big turn, he's used up all his rune chants. Is he going to try stacking them up again, or is he going to play more of a aggressive game?
So we see here Jacob choosing to zip a hit into a Command and Conquer for 8.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting that he used the Goliath Gauntlet in advance there. Is that potentially not wanting to break the chain? But it did feel like he gave away a little bit of information there to Jason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And here we see a classic blue pitch, and Jason has kind of created his own Dread Scythe in a way by creating a rune chant with the Grasp of the Arknight, and then attacking him for 3 with the Reaping Blade.
And one thing here is that for, in Jacob's position, he can't really afford to take this Reaping Blade because he's going to be taking pretty much all of the rune chants for a little while now. He can pitch a card to defend against the rune chant, but he also needs to keep enough cards in hand to put pressure back on Jason, it feels.
Yeah, so Jason is doing a great job at splitting the damage, and I feel like that's a classic Rune Blade thing where you come in with the arcane damage and the physical damage at the same time to really make your opponent struggle at stopping both sources of damage.
In this case, so the game, I feel like Jason's not going to be feeling completely out of the woods at this stage, because at the moment, the dash deck, we have seen 1 High Octane used and 1 High Octane banished due to boost. But all Jacob needs here is one sort of big High Octane Tome of Findale turn.
Mm-hmm.
He would actually gain the life because he is on lower life, so Reaping Blade effect would not be in effect.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's really sort of tossing up, how many cards can I afford to give away and how much pressure do I need to put on?
Yeah, so I mean, those rune chants are really pesky without his boots. So
and just choosing to defend there with a 0 to 60 to keep his
he
life
would
total.
have to lose a whole blue pitch card to prevent that 1 rune chant. Yeah, here we see Jason's starting to play a lot more aggressively. He's willing to take those pistol hits, whereas before he was happy to just defend up with most of his hand and then play the cards like Read the Runes. Now he's really switching gears. Okay, so here we see the Command and Conquer threatening 6 damage and blowing up Jason's arsenal. So
and it feels like Jacob's wanting to keep a bit of pressure on, but also buy himself a bit of time here.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see in Jason's hand here Enlightened Strike. So that's another card. It feels like okay, so he's chosen to hold on to Enlightened Strike. Enlightened Strike feels like another one that's pretty good to hit off Sonata. You can give it go again or just come in for 7 at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's coming in for 7 here.
I'm not sure if he said it potentially might be 5 go again, and he could flip over that Exude. I think
true.
I believe he might have gestured to indicate 5 in this situation.
Yeah.
Which actually might be what he's looking to do, because I feel in his mind here, if he can force out sort of 2 cards onto this Enlightened Strike to defend, and then 1 card force out Jacob to defend with 1 card on the Exude Confidence, it basically just buys him more and more time, it feels like.
Yeah, and once Jacob is in that kind of 3 or below range, those rune chants created by Grasp become very painful. If Jason manages to get himself in a situation where each one of those rune chants is stripping 1 blue card from Jacob's hand, things aren't looking that great for Jacob.
And we have seen that card in Jacob's arsenal for a long time now, so wondering if it is something like that Tome of Findale. And of course the additional cost of having to use that Achilles Accelerator early is that it's not available to sort of make your own High Octane turn, for example. So if Jacob did have Achilles Accelerator up, he could do something like play a boost attack, use the Achilles for a second action point, and play the Tome of Findale, continue his turn. But he doesn't have that option if that is that card. And now he's facing down a pretty scary Enlightened Strike here.
And yeah, it's one of those things where Jason's arsenal is known information, and I think Jacob is trying to work out, how do I defend this attack? How do I stop these 2 attacks while at the same time putting on some form of pressure onto my opponent? There we go. He's double defended with 2 cards there. Okay.
Yeah,
so he's really preserving his life total here.
And I feel like Jason's going to be pretty happy with that. So Jacob just choosing to keep 1 blue pitch card in hands feels like a decent decision here. Just allows him to come in twice with the Teklo pistol. So Induction Chamber, of course, is going to be giving that Teklo pistol go again, and then just loading the counters back onto them.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's one of those things where he wants to just keep up a little bit of pressure, not just let Jason have totally free reign with a 4-card hand. And really, I feel like he really might be just sort of holding out for that last high octane in his deck, seeing if he can make some magic happen.
Definitely.
But that's the problem as well, where, Jason's putting on some really good pressure here, because the more life that Jacob loses, he loses flexibility to hold cards on that big high octane turn if he does draw it at some point.
Yeah, and I think that really explains his previous defense step.
Oh, it looks like Jason has a meet and greet in hand here.
Meet and greet is extra powerful with the ability to create rune chants on that grasp, and without that arcane barrier 1, it's just so tough for Jacob to stop those arcane damage points coming in.
Yeah, now the Arcanite Skullcap is active. Dash does play a lot of blue cards, so that is one option here. But we'll see how Jason wants to go with this turn. So you see he's pitching a last-ditch effort.
Hey, those time skippers are coming in.
Here we go, the time skipper turn.
Yeah, I think
Jason that feels like a good turn.
Oh, wow. I see. So he gets the non-attack action, and that's just going to be so hard for Jacob to defend there. 2 rune chants. That would be 2 cards that he has to pitch to stop that meet and greet from getting go again. Yeah,
now on top of this, so those rune chants there's 2 rune chants coming in. He's created an additional rune chant from Viserai's hero ability because he played the Read the Runes, which is a non-attack action, into the meet and greet. So Jacob definitely facing down a difficult decision here.
A really interesting play from Jason. He's trying his best to maximize those rune chants because he knows how punishing those are against Jacob in this current state.
And again, quite an interesting game because Jason is committing quite a lot every single turn here, it feels, to really push that damage through. So we wonder here if Jacob might be thinking, can I just hold off for a little bit longer? Can I pitch away my hand to prevent these rune chants, defend that meet and greet with 1 card, and then just keep up the 2 pistol attacks and see what I can make happen?
Yeah,
because it's not like he's at risk of a huge Sonata turn just yet. But again, I suppose there's always that chance that Jason draws 3 blues from a Sonata and then it's off to the races.
Yeah. So he took that arcane damage, and here we go, another point of arcane damage, and Jason knows that.
I think there was a red throttle and a red command and conquer, so just like that, he's down to 2 life.
A Mordred Tide for Jason, that's huge. Exude. It's just so interesting to see this build go from a very control playstyle to putting a lot of pressure on Jacob there. But yeah.
Now I do
Pistols
wonder what
are chipping away.
I do wonder what the last cut is in. Okay, so it was a zipper hit that whole time. Oh, and
he misses that tome.
And that's quite brutal here because this is going to allow Jason to potentially go down to 2 life and keep a full hand if he wants to. So he doesn't have to, but he does have that option here.
And that's exactly what he's going to do.
Okay. So it looks like it was for 4, sorry. There was a yellow zipper hit. Now, it does appear that Jason has the Mordred Tide and Sonata, so we'll see what happens here.
Okay, so he's creating a rune chant. He knows that those rune chants are just so hard for Jacob to deal with.
So 2 rune chants it feels here due to the Mordred Tide.
Oh, and he is going to play that Sonata. Okay.
So just revealing the top 3, because X is 0 here.
And he misses. But what the Sonata lets him do is create 2 more rune chants, which is just huge. How can Jacob stop this attack? So
Jacob's going to need 3 blue pitch cards in hand to stay alive, which is definitely a tall order.
Definitely.
But even with that, because I believe Jacob has only 1 counter on that Teklo Foundry Heart.
Yeah. Okay, so Jason, we could see that he's got that exude confidence in hand. I think he knows that those 4 rune chants are just going to be a nightmare for Jacob to deal with. Here we see that he's pitching all 4 cards Yeah.
Yeah, then extends the hand. So he would have needed 3 blue cards there to stay alive, and even then it would have been quite difficult.
Yeah.
So it feels like Jacob, unfortunately for him there, so we see that he banished that Time of Findale and then sort of drew that last one, which he may have been waiting for. But again, even with those tomes, it may have been a little bit difficult without being able to combine it with that third high octane.
Yeah, losing those Achilles boots, that was just so punishing for Jacob in terms of dealing with that arcane damage. And I think Jason was very quick to spot that and kind of adjust his game plan to maximize those rune charms and kind of throw them in Jacob's face as much as possible.
Yeah, because it's not like he tried to just build up a second huge swing after doing that. He just kind of put on multiple little bits of pressure repeatedly, which eventually Jacob just wasn't able to deal with. But
yeah,
I have to say that was quite a fun game to watch. It's quite, OTK Viserai, or one-turn kill Viserai. It's been a deck that's floated around the meta for quite a while now, but as you mentioned, that Bloodsheath Skeletor interaction with Sonata Arcanix seems like it's really brought a whole new dimension to the deck.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we have Jason winning the first round. He's going to move on to the second round to verse Newson. Thanks for watching, everybody.